right, everybody, welcome back to another video. And in today's video, we're actually going to be starting a brand new series for the channel, something I'm going to be doing pretty regularly. Every Tuesday, I'm going to be dropping what I like to call tier list Tuesdays. So I'm going to be dropping a different type of tier list each week. If you have any suggestions, drop them down in the comments below of what you want to see next. But I figured we'd start off. The channel started because of the NFL. So we're going to start off with the NFL Week 7 tier list. Kind of my power rankings, essentially, for how I view the teams right now, and then more specifically, moving forward. So looking at my categories, we have the cream of the crop. These are the best teams. These are the teams that stand out above the rest. Pretty much your Super Bowl contenders / favorites. Second fiddle are going to be teams that are vying for Super Bowl, but may not be quite there. We got the playoffs, if you know that famous interview, but these are going to be just your standard playoff teams, teams that maybe will be in the playoffs but not going to go super far. Middle of the pack, I just think those are your teams that are above average, but right around average. Not good, but not bad either is pretty standard. These are just teams that I don't think are bad teams. And they could be average. They have more chance of moving up than they do down. I'll just leave it at that. Your bad teams are just bad, just not good, and they're not competitive, really. You don't expect them to win. Bottom of the barrel, worse than that. These are your teams that want to be in this next category, but are somewhat competitive sometimes. And then we have the 2023 draft. Here we come. Is the last category. And so we're just going to go in alphabetical order. It's just the easiest way to do it. So we're going to start off with the Arizona Cardinals. It's going to be an easy cream of the... No, just kidding. This is a bad team. Also, I need to specify it will be left to right. That is going to be important. So the teams on the furthest left are going to be the higher ranked teams, in my opinion. So Arizona Cardinals will stick them off in bad to start off. Not a good offense, very vanilla, allow a lot of points on defense, pretty bad combo, but I think that they're better than a lot of these bottom-of-the-barrel teams. Next, we got another bird team. We got the Falcons. And I actually think that they're better than the Arizona Cardinals, despite what they want to be, which is probably down here. They are a not great team, admittedly, but they're not a bad team either. They're very competitive. They just beat the 49ers at the time of making this video. So yeah, sometimes they're 6-0 against the spread. So if that tells you anything. Baltimore Ravens, easy playoff team for me. Our first playoff team. I think this is a team that, if they had all their healthy pieces, could be second fiddle. I think they have a lot of talent, a lot of top-end talent. I think where they lack is offensive weapons and specifically wide receivers and running backs. And then their defense just isn't healthy. But I think they're a playoff team. And our first powerhouse, the Buffalo Bills, cream of the crop. This is going to be the best team, in my opinion. Spoilers, no other team's going to be topping them. Despite the one loss they have against the Dolphins, I think that they're just the best team, hands down. Offense, defense, top 3 in both of those. I don't think anybody can argue. Maybe another team, which we'll get to later, but Buffalo Bills, if I had to pick a Super Bowl team to win, it'd be them. Next, Carolina Panthers, 2023 draft. Here we come. Oh, Carolina, you're a mess right now. Matt Rule fired 2 weeks ago. You just traded Robbie Anderson after he had a temper tantrum. There's rumors of CMC leaving and DJ Moore. It's not a pretty sight in Charlotte, but 2023 draft is stacked, so you got something to look forward to. And hey, Chicago Bears, why don't you join them down there? This is another team. Justin Fields just has not been set up for success. Their defense is terrible. Their offense is terrible. They deserve to be in this tier. Cincinnati Bengals, as a Saints fan, we just played them. I got to see them firsthand. They were obviously in the Super Bowl last year. I think that right now and moving forward, they're just a middle-of-the-pack team. when I was watching them, I didn't see anything too special other than Jamar Chase. But offensively, they felt just mediocre to me. And their defense is nothing great. I mean, the Saints put up a decent amount of points without our top 3 wide receivers. So I think the Bengals are your just generic middle-of-the-pack team. Browns, they're a bottom-of-the-barrel team right now. This could change, obviously, over time with Deshaun Watson coming back. But right now, they are a step above the Carolina Panthers and the Bears, but they're below teams because they just lack the ability to stop anybody on defense. Dallas Cowboys. I'm struggling between middle of the pack and playoffs, but I'm going to put them in the playoffs because their record is good, but also I think their defense is elite. And when Dak comes back, they have a chance. Actually, I think they have a better chance of moving up than they do down. But I'm going to put them. I'm going to put them below the Ravens, I think. Broncos country, let's ride. Or not, because I am tired of seeing this team on prime time. I'm going to put them as not good, but not bad either. I'm going to put them above the Falcons just because their defense is very, very good. The offense, just the opposite. They're terrible to watch. Please stop making us watch these games during prime time. I'm begging you. A team that I would love to watch above them is the Lions. Now, they're not a good team, and they're not a bottom-of-the-barrel team. I think they're just bad, just plain bad. Fun to watch, but bad. I think their defense, it reminds me a lot of the Saints of like the 2015s where they had a top-tier offense, but just a defense that couldn't stop anybody. And that's the Lions this year, and it's not a great spot to be. They're going to win a lot of games like that. Packers, middle of the pack. And actually, let's change this category to middle of the Packers. I think that's an aptly named tier. And I think Green Bay is right where they belong, right here in the middle of the pack. Houston Texans. I'm going to put them, it's between bad and bottom of the barrel. Let's put them bottom of the barrel, right below Cleveland. I think that the Texans are that team that is just a few hits away. A few hits in the draft and an easy division, the AFC South. And I think they really could become a playoff team. But for now, they're going to be down here. And the Jags, I'm going to put them above their tier. I think that the Jags are just a year or two ahead of where the Texans are. With Trevor Lawrence and a decent coaching staff, I think the Jags have shown, glimpses of hope and then glimpses of the Jacksonville Jaguars. So they're just a bad team. They were very similar to the Lions to me. The Colts, we'll put them in the middle of the pack. And I'm going to put them above the Packers. It's close. I think that the Colts, whenever Jonathan Taylor is healthy, are a better team than Green Bay is. I'll just put them in the middle pack. Kansas City, finally, another good team. I'm just getting tired of ranking not so great teams. I'm going to put them in second fiddle. I don't think cream of the crop, I'm going to try to limit to 2 to 3 teams, maybe 4 if there's really just a 4-pack above the rest. But we just watched the Bills and the Chiefs play, and personally, after watching that game, it just reiterated to me that the Bills have way more talent than the Chiefs do. Now, I think that Mahomes is probably the best quarterback in the NFL and can be for the next 10, 15 years. So that's always going to give them a step above just a playoff team. When Mahomes is in the playoffs, I don't think anybody in their right mind is going to count him out. But overall team, I just think they're right above this tier right there, right there in the middle. Chargers, I want to put the Chargers here too. I think the AFC West is not as good as it should have been, but These two teams impress me, but I don't think that they're second fiddle. I think they're a playoff team, and a really good playoff team, a dangerous playoff team. If I had a dark horse category, like right here, I'd put them there. Justin Herbert, same as Pat Mahomes. I think he's extremely talented, super young, has a really bright future. And when Keenan Allen comes back, he's going to be very, very good for this offense to get back on track. And I think that their defense is probably above average. I wouldn't say that they're anything special, but I think they're above average defense. And when you have a quarterback like Mahomes, like Herbert, like Josh Allen, like these guys, you're competitive and you can win any game at any point. Doesn't matter what the score is, really. Oh, man, the Rams. I think they're a bottom tier, middle of the pack, almost in the Broncos tier to me. I think their offense is dreadful outside of Cooper Kupp. Obviously, the Bengals and the Rams being in this tier, both Super Bowl teams last year, the Rams defending Super Bowl champions, their offense is just not good. They don't have any cohesion as a unit. All it is just Matt Stafford just looking for Cooper Kupp. And granted, Cooper Kupp catches 10 passes a game, but it doesn't really do anything for them because they know it's coming, and they just let him get his 10 catches for 100 yards, and they don't care. Until somebody steps up, maybe Van Jefferson coming back is what they need. Who knows? But I think the Rams belong to be here. Raiders, another AFC West team that's kind of disappointing this year, much like the Broncos, but I don't think they're good. And I know the record is 1-5 at this point. I think, or 1-4 because they had their bye week. I think they're better than that record probably, but I still think they're a bad team. I think their defense just doesn't let them win consistently. I don't think they're a football team that knows how to win consistently. There's another team, we'll talk about them later, who are the Raiders, but the opposite. I think that they're a team that knows how to win in whatever way that they can. And I'll touch back on that when I get on that team later. The Dolphins. I think the Dolphins are a middle-of-the-pack team, but where? I don't think they're as good as the Bengals. Yeah, I don't think they're as good as the Bengals. And I think it's close. When Tua comes back, I think their offense can be really, really good. I think Mike McDaniel is a really good offensive head coach. And when I look at this team, I think where my issues come are their defense, number one. And then two, I don't think Tua is a Dak Prescott or Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert. I just don't. I think it's a quarterback-driven league, and he is a step below those guys right now. Now the Vikings, man, I want to either put them at the high playoffs, but I think I'm going to put them as second fiddle. Yeah, I think I'm going to put them second fiddle, and I'll tell you that this is a asterisk team for me. I think that the Vikings are a really, really solid football team. This is a team that whenever they are up, they're not going to win a lot of games. And whenever they're down by like 10, they can come back. But I don't think in a playoff scenario, if they get down, they're going to be great. But I think that they can stay up in a lot of playoff games. And I think primetime Kirk gets aptly judged. But their only loss this year is to the Eagles. And that's not a bad resume to have. So I'm going to put the Vikings right up there, second fiddle. Patriots, top of middle of the pack. Now, any of these middle of the pack teams, obviously, I'm not just going to have playoff teams, second fiddle, cream of the crop, all just be 7-7 like it will be in the playoffs, because I think any of these middle of the pack teams can vie for the playoffs. I think the playoff teams that if they're here, that means that I'm saying like 80% chance they're going to make the playoffs. And if they're up here, it's like 95, 100%. So, Patriots, solid defense, really good coaching, great run game. And that's the Patriots. It's been their formula for the past few years. I think their quarterback, much like the Dolphins, holds them back. Saints, are so I'm a Saints fan, and I want to be honest. I want to put them up here. I'm going to put them above the Broncos because I think that their defense is probably a little bit worse, definitely worse than the Broncos. But I think their offense is way better. We are competitive, super competitive team. I don't think there's any team in the NFL we can't just hang with. But I don't think we're good. I don't think we're good at all. But we don't have a first round pick next year, so I hope we end up somewhere in here. The Giants. Oh, the Giants. They're gonna hate me. I know they're 5-1, but I think they're a middle of the pack team. And I think the Giants are a team that are going to come to reality here soon. I think that the biggest problem is Daniel Jones. And I think Giants fans can admit that. Saquon is great. He looks healthy. And the defense looks like a top 10 defense. But when you have these types of quarterbacks that are not difference makers, which Daniel Jones, he's just not a difference maker. They don't want him as their franchise quarterback. And if they do, I think they're crazy. I think that the next 4 weeks, they're probably going to lose 2 to 3 of those games. And then people are going to see, okay, they're the Giants. Similar, another New York team. Oh, man. If I get anywhere near popular and people come back to this video, New York audience is not going to like me, but I think they're above my Saints. I think the Jets are not a great team. I don't even think they're a middle of the pack team. I think same issue, man. It's so hard to put a team that doesn't have like an elite or even just a solid quarterback above middle of the pack. And then I think Zach Wilson is just abysmal. He's not going to do it for me. But I'll put him. I think their defense is really good. And I will say the Jets had probably the best draft out of the past like 4 or 5 years. Honestly, probably since the Saints draft class with Marshawn and Alvin Kamara. Oh, next we got the Eagles. Fly, Eagles, fly. They're good, man. They're like the Bills. They're the 2 most complete teams in the NFL. Top 3 offense, top 3 defense. Maybe top 5 offense for the Eagles, but they've got talent across the board. And if this was the Super Bowl in February, would not be surprised. That's what I'm predicting now, but obviously I think some other teams could, sneak in there. Injuries could happen. Anything could happen. But those are my 2 best teams in the NFL. Moving on to the Steelers. I'm going to put them at the top of 2023 draft where we come. I really think they're going to regret beating the Buccaneers this past weekend. The Bucks won. It was a letdown for the Bucks. Let's just call it what it was. But when you win teams as a bad team, I think the Falcons are falling into this trap, and I think the Steelers are falling into this trap where they don't want to win games because that just makes their draft pick worse. And as a fan, it's bittersweet because you don't want the wins. At least I wouldn't. If I was a bad team, I went through like 3 seasons as a Saints fan where we went, 7-9, 7-9, 7-9. We were just mediocre, and then we'd get a pick 18, couldn't get a good quarterback, and it's like if we would have just tanked one of those years, we would have gotten such better of picks. So stop winning, Steelers, if you know what's good for you. Seahawks, put them right there. I think the Seahawks, honestly, kind of like the Jets, they had a really good draft class. Ken Walker looks really good. R.I.P. Rashad Penny. He was also a really good running back. But I think their biggest issue is quarterback again. Geno, say what you will about the guy. He's looked okay, but he's still not he's not the future. You're not writing home and being like, oh man, if we could just surround Geno with pieces, he's gonna carry us to the promised land. It's like, no, he's not. He's just not. So it's a bad team. And next up, 49ers. This is a middle of the pack team. I'm gonna put them right there. Despite losing to the Falcons, this is still one of the best defenses in the NFL. And I think they're a team, another asterisk team for me. If they're ahead, they're here. They're up in the playoffs. If they're behind, they're here. They're in the bad category because Jimmy G is not a comeback quarterback. He is a game manager through and through, but he's a good game manager. Okay. Next, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm going to put them as a top tier playoff team, probably above the Cowboys. Yep, I'm going to put them above the Cowboys. And I know you Cowboys fans are going to get mad at me and be like, oh, man, our defense is, top 3 or whatever. It's just Tom Brady, man. He's like Thanos. He's inevitable. And I'm not going to bet against him. As much as I hate the guy, I can't bet against him. And then as I was talking about with the Raiders don't know how to win, this is a team, Tennessee Titans, know how to win football games. They were the number 1 seed last year, and I don't think they were a good team. That does not mean, this is kind of what the playoffs category is. These are teams that are going to make it, but that does not mean that they're going to go far. They might win a game. Tennessee Titans are that team that just know how to win in the regular season. And then finally, we're going to go with the Washington Commanders. Final team, bottom of the barrel. I think Commanders fans. Wentz is not the solution. He is the placeholder quarterback. And you hope that he entertains you, and kind of like Ryan Fitzpatrick was for you guys. You hope they entertain you and give you a good time and somehow lose the game, and there's nobody in the NFL better than that than Carson Wentz. But with all that being said, that's my tier list. If you disagree, comment down below. If you're a Broncos fan and you think you're great and somehow you watch all those primetime games and you thought you should be a playoff team or middle of the pack at the bare minimum or whatever team you are, if you think I got you right, comment down below as well. But without saying anything else, I'll see you guys in the next one.